My TNA Hard Justice 2009 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view just ended, and just like any other TNA pay-per-view this year, it was just another weak TNA pay-per-view. Now, the one thing is, the two X Division matches on this pay-per-view did make it a whole lot better than Victory Road. Well, I wouldn't say a whole lot better, but definitely made it not be in the category of like a worst pay-per-view of the year. And it did start off with a very good opener. The opener was the Steel Asylum match, #1 contendership for the X Division Championship, with Alex Shelley versus Chris Sabin versus Amazing Red versus Daniels versus Jay Lethal versus Consequences Creed versus Suicide, and versus the debuting the Pope DAngelo, Dinero, aka Elijah Burke. And this was a very, very good opener for TNA. This is the type of X Division opener that TNA needs to start doing more frequently on their pay-per-views. This was a very good match. Saw good tag team work from the Motor Machine Guns working in this match. Saw some good stuff from Consequences Creed and Jay Lethal. Just everyone flowed very well in this match. The only negative thing about this match might be the ending of this match. The ending of this match came where at the top it was looking like either Suicide or the Pope DAngelo Dinero would have been the one to win this match. Suicide was about to get out. Elijah Burke was able to kind of throw him down. Suicide fell down, and it looked like Elijah Burke was going to escape. Then he just came down and didn't want to go out for some reason or another. And at that point, before that, Daniels was hanging from the steel structure at the top. I don't know if they fucked up the ending or whatnot, but it was kind of a very weak ending for the match. But there was so much great action within this match. With Amazing Red doing very good stuff. Sure, he's not as fast-paced action as he once was within the ring, but he's still very good. And Alex Shelley did some good stuff in there. Just a very enjoyable opener and a good way to start the pay-per-view off. Unfortunately, the pay-per-view after this match kind of went on a downhill slope for the most part, and maybe picked up within one or two matches, but not really too much. And like I said, and within this match, Daniels, he was the one to get out of the match and win the Steel Asylum match. Kind of a weak ending, though. That was the only problem I had with this match, but great action nonetheless. And after the match, Daniels cut a promo, and he said he's going to challenge whoever, since he's the #1 contender for the X Division champion. He'll either see Samoa Joe or Homicide down the line. So that'd be a good match, and obviously I'll talk about that match, the X Division championship, later on in the review right here. Very good opener, 3.5 stars, maybe even arguably maybe 3 3/4 stars. That might be giving it a little too much since the ending was bad, but nonetheless, I give it 3.5 stars. It was very good. Next matchup was Jethro, Holliday versus Abyss, and the $50,000 bounty match. And I gotta say, going in this match, I was expecting something that was utterly terrible. I was expecting something really, really bad. With the stipulations with this match, you saw some weapons get involved, and Abyss did his typical stuff he always does within most of his matches. Most of his matches always no disqualification anyway. And with that, it kind of helped the match, but still, for the most part, this match had the feeling that this shouldn't have been on pay-per-view. Nonetheless, this should have still been on the on a TNA Impact, not a pay-per-view. But it did have some good build-up to the match. Not involving Jethro or Holliday for the most part, but involving Dr. Stevie. Abyss wins this match after Jethro Holliday tries to use brass knucks to hit Abyss. Abyss catches him, hits the black hole slam on him, wins the match. Then after the match, Jethro Holliday punches and knocks out Dr. Stevie. So don't know if you're going to see, obviously, a little face turn right there with him. Don't know what they'll go next with him. But this was actually a watchable match, a whole lot better than what I was expecting. Nothing great, but, at least a watchable match, 2 stars. The next matchup was Hernandez versus Big Rob Terry of the British Invasion. And the good thing they did with this match was pretty much a complete squash, which was the way they should have booked this match. I was fearful that they would have actually booked this match where, since Big Rob Terry, British Invasion, is kind of a big guy as well, I was expecting them to kind of have a back and forth match. Thankfully, they didn't do this. This was very short, and Hernandez got his world title briefcase back, which was an idiotic thing to be on the line, no matter what. With the world title briefcase being on the line. It's good to, have, a wrestler within, a storyline, steal titles or steal a briefcase or whatnot, but having it be on the line just makes it very idiotic. Since this was squashed, obviously, an NA for this match, not going to rate this match. Then the next matchup was Beer Money Incorporated versus British Invasion. This just pretty much an average tag match. What you expect from these two teams was for the IWGP Tag Team Championships, and British Invasion went over like everyone was already expecting. Like I said, just an average tag match. Nothing really special, but nothing really bad at all. I would give it 2 1/4 stars. Then the next matchup was ODB and Cody Deaner versus the beautiful people Angelina Love and Velvet Sky for the TNA Knockouts Championship, which at first I thought this match right here was just going to be a one-on-one match with ODB and Angelina Love, which would have been a little better than what it ended up being with this whole tag match, especially with the ending of it. And when they changed it to a tag match, obviously I knew what was going to happen. ODB and Cody Deaner were going to win this match, and Cody Deaner gets the pinfall on Velvet Sky after some problems that the beautiful people had with Madison Rain. She sprayed the hairspray and to Velvet Sky, either Velvet Sky or Angelina Love accidentally, and then he rolled her up about a couple seconds later. And ODB within this match is classified as the way match went, that ODB, even though Cody Deaner got the pinfall, ODB's the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion, but at the end of the match, Cody Deaner grabbed the belt from her, kind of ran off with it, so obviously you're going to see some comedy stuff with the TNA Knockouts division, which is a complete joke that they're doing this. They're having this stuff with ODB and Cody Deaner, over the championship right now. I mean, they got so many good talented women in their company, and they're wasting, all that talent for doing this, dumbass Russo stuff with ODB and Cody Deaner. This match I would give 1.5 stars, nothing good at all. Then the next matchup was Samoa Joe versus Homicide for the X Division Championship, and unfortunately this match was very short. That was the problem I had with this match. You saw some good action in here, but it was fairly short, and I would say Homicide, he did get in a decent amount of offense, but it was more or less Samoa Joe dominating him during the match, and Samoa Joe does win the match after Homicide taps out of the submission of Samoa Joe, the Kikita Clutch. I would still give the match 2.5 stars. You saw some good action here. This would have been like a match that would have been, a good preview for something that you would see at a pay-per-view between these two, but not a pay-per-view match. This was a fairly short match. I think, at the longest, it probably got 7 or 8 minutes. That was the main gripe I had with this match. This match would have went 10 more minutes. These two could have put on a very excellent match, especially since knowing their great matches they had against each other in Ring of Honor. So with that, I wish this match would have been given more time, unfortunately. And this is a huge step back for Samoa Joe, going back in the X Division, being the X Division champion. Obviously, Christopher Daniels and him, they could put on a very good match. And I think with Christopher Daniels, I don't think I'll have to completely worry too much about him coming in there and being squashed by Samoa Joe. Obviously, Christopher Daniels will be the one to get the title off of Samoa Joe. It was a good match, just the only problem with it was very, very short, and they should have booked it in a way where Homicide walked out as champion, because that would have not only helped Homicide out a lot, it would have really, gave some credibility back within the X Division. Now it's just, a main event guy, walked in there and got the X Division championship, even though Joe was a part of it in the past, obviously. So with that, Daniels probably get the title off him, like I said. Now the next matchup was for the TNA World Tag Team Championships with Team 3D versus Scott Steiner and Booker T. Saw a lot of crowd brawling in this match. Some other people might enjoy this match more than I did. I just didn't get into it at all from the beginning. It was just fairly boring, and it just dragged on and on within this match. And the way the match ends, it ends in controversy where there's a double pin where Scott Steiner pins Brother Ray, and Devon pins Booker, and it ends with that way. Then the referees, go back, say, let's look at the replay, and then they said Scott Steiner and Booker T retain the tag team championships. So just a dumb ending, and really with the way it ended, it didn't even look like, the way they ended it with the double pinfall. With the camera angles, it looked like the whole entire time that Brother Ray was under the ropes, so that really made them look very stupid. And this match I would give 2 stars, maybe 2 1/4, because it wasn't a terrible match. It's probably one of those matches that other people probably will enjoy a little more. I just didn't get into it. Then the next matchup was the was not the main event, but the next matchup was the TNA Legends Championship with Mick Foley versus Kevin Nash for the Legends Championship. This was just an average match between these two. They went back and forth. Both of them were bleeding heavily within this match. Kevin Nash wins the match and regains the TNA Legends Championship. After the match, they did something interesting, which could possibly build up to something very good. Abyss came out there with the barbed wire bat. Kevin Nash got out of the ring, and then he kind of looked at Mick Foley. Mick Foley gave him the thumbs up, and then Abyss just walked out the ring. So maybe a little build up right there for maybe a Monsters Ball match at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view in October against Abyss and Mick Foley, or obviously Mick Foley under the persona Cactus Jack. I think that would be a match that everyone would be looking forward to. Then the main event of the evening was for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship with Kurt Angle versus Sting versus Matt Morgan. Obviously, the thing going in this match that had people interested in was Kurt Angle, was he going to still walk out as World Heavyweight Champion? And as everyone already knows by the time of viewing this video, obviously Kurt Angle did walk out as World Heavyweight Champion. Within this match, they definitely booked it in the way where it was looking like Matt Morgan was going to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Not only within the match, but they had Matt Morgan's wife in the crowd, and they were just hyping him up so much within the show that it looked like they were actually going to give him the World Heavyweight Championship. But they kind of, I guess, a lot of people already knew the whole situation with Kurt Angle, and they built it around that way, so they kind of did a little swerve right there with Kurt Angle retaining the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, which I think it's good and bad that he retained. Obviously, with the situation that's going on with him, maybe not be the smartest decision that TNA had him retain the championship, since obviously that's going to get them a little bad press. But I guess TNA, looks at it, no matter what press they get, at least they get some type of press out of it. And this match I would give, 2 1/4 stars, 2.5 maybe. Overall, this pay-per-view I would give about a 5.5, and that's mainly just due to the fact with the opener being very, very good. And the Joe and Homicide match was good. It just should have been, a little longer and been given more time. And yeah, that's it for my TNA Hard Justice 2009 pay-per-view review. Peace. My TNA Hard Justice 2009 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view just ended, and just like any other TNA pay-per-view this year, it was just another weak TNA pay-per-view. Now, the one thing is, the 2 X Division matches on this pay-per-view did make it a whole lot better than Victory Road for TNA. This is the type of, X Division opener that TNA needs to start doing more frequently on their pay-per-views. This was a very good match. Saw good, tag team work from the Most Machine Guns working in this match. Saw some good stuff. Well, I wouldn't say a whole lot better, but definitely made it not be in the category of like a worst pay-per-view of the year. And it did start off with a very good opener. The opener was the Steel Asylum match, #1 contendership for the X Division Championship with out from Consequences Creed and Jay Lethal. Just everyone flowed very well in this match. The only negative thing about this match might be the ending of this match. The ending of this match came where at the top it was looking like either Suicide, Shelley versus Chris Sabin versus Amazing Red versus Daniels versus Jay Lethal versus Consequences Creed versus Suicide and versus the debuting the Pope DAngelo, Dinero, aka Elijah Burke. And this was a very, very good opener